sitting here typing out the details of a wedding day, a day that was supposed to be the beginning of a happy life. But sometimes life doesn't go the way we expect. Sometimes the most memorable day becomes the dirty memory that you can never fully erase. I met Eden 3 years ago at a cousin's birthday party. She came with a mutual friend, and as soon as she walked into the room, I just knew I had no chance. She was too beautiful, too striking, the kind of woman who could make the entire room fall silent just to stare. But then we talked about some Netflix series that I can't even remember the name of now. And she laughed. Not the polite kind of laugh, but the kind where you feel like for a split second, you've made the world stop. And then, the most amazing thing happened. She replied to my message, and that's when everything began. Our first date was just a coffee. I was nervous, and she was calm, as though she'd been on a million dates. Eden talked about her work at the dental clinic, her strange roommate who made sure I could never come to her apartment. We talked about music, movies, the little things. There were no fireworks, but there was a connection. At least I thought there was. Soon enough, Eden practically moved into the old 2-bedroom apartment I was renting. Her things were all over the bathroom, the kitchen, and even the closet. But she kept her own apartment. When I asked, Eden said it was because her lease wasn't up. I believed her. Why wouldn't I? I loved her. Almost a year later, I took Eden to the lake, where we had our third date, and proposed. The ring I had spent months saving for. She cried, smiled, took 50 selfies, then called. Her mom first, not her best friend. It felt odd, but I naively thought, she must be close to her mom. I was wrong. I was wrong from the start. Naomi, Eden's mom, was a woman who made me feel like I was being judged. I met her for the first time at a fancy dinner, where the appetizer cost as much as my entire monthly rent. When Eden left the table to use the restroom, Naomi leaned in, looked at my Timex watch, an old thing, and said bluntly, and then, the wedding day came. Despite every instinct telling me something was wrong, I smiled as I walked down the aisle. Eden looked like she stepped out of a bridal magazine, her smile radiant. My mom was in tears. My dad gripped my hand tightly. My friends raised their glasses to congratulate me on landing such a beautiful wife. But then, Naomi spoke. She stood up, raised her champagne glass, and said, I have to admit, I was surprised when Eden brought you home. You're not like the other men she's been with. She's usually attracted to men with ambition, the kind who have a future. But maybe Eden is just going through a rebellious phase. The guests began glancing at each other. This poor guy, she said, turning to me, thinks he can provide for my daughter. How sweet. But we all know she's just waiting for a better opportunity to come along. And Eden, my newlywed wife, holding my hand, laughed. Not an awkward laugh, but a real laugh, like her mother had just told a funny story that I didn't get. My mom dropped her glass. My dad stood up, ready to react, but Naomi stopped him. I just sat there, laughing, the kind of laugh that freezes you. I didn't know what to do. No one did. The DJ quickly played music. Eden dragged me onto the dance floor, gliding as if nothing had happened. Perfect, right? She whispered as we swirled to the first song. I just nodded. Everyone was still looking, and I, a newly married man, was falling apart inside. That night I asked Eden about her mother's speech. She laughed it off. You're just too sensitive. My mom has a weird sense of humor. I just laughed to lighten the mood. I lay next to her that night, my eyes wide open in the dark. Something inside me had died, and little did I know. The biggest shock was yet to come. After the wedding, everything seemed to pass by as though there had never been a rift between my mother-in-law's harsh speech and our first dance. Eden returned with her perfect smile, carefully edited photos all over Instagram, and captions full of sweet words. Finally, we're together. I've never felt this happy. Happy? I wasn't so sure. I still had the feeling of being stabbed right in the middle of the wedding hall. No blood, but my heart was bleeding with every beat. The honeymoon in Puerto Vallarta was calm, at least on the surface. We had perfect couple photos by the beach, Eden beaming in a white maxi dress, holding a margarita. But behind the camera, she often looked away when I spoke, her eyes glued to her phone. When I asked who she was texting, she snapped at me like I had crossed some forbidden line. Are you controlling me? Am I not allowed to have friends? I stayed silent. At that time, I couldn't bring myself to believe the worst. I just thought, maybe she wasn't used to being a wife. Maybe she was feeling a bit suffocated. Maybe I was just being too sensitive. My first big mistake, I excused the change. 3 weeks after the wedding, Eden started talking about settling down for the long term. She wanted us to look at houses, not just any houses, but small, gated villas where every house had a pool and arched windows. When I mentioned the budget, Eden looked at me like I had just made a bad joke. My mom will help, don't worry. The same woman who once called me a poor guy who thinks he can support her daughter is now going to help us buy a house. I didn't say anything, but I started paying closer attention. One day I came home early. There was a busted pipe at the construction site. The door was unlocked. I walked in and heard Eden on the phone in the bedroom. I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but when I heard my name, I froze. David doesn't suspect a thing. Jacob says now is the perfect time to buy the house, and the prenup doesn't matter if we live there long enough. I stood still, frozen. Jacob? Her ex-boyfriend? The one her mom always talked about? The guy in real estate? All we need to do is establish residency first. The court will side with me in case of divorce. Then, yeah. Well, he's got good credit. My blood ran cold. I stepped back down the hallway, out of the house and back in again. This time I deliberately made some noise. Eden rushed out, looking surprised. You're home early. Is everything okay? I smiled, lied, and said it was just a construction issue. She nodded and smiled as if everything was fine. But from that moment on, the mask cracked. That night, while Eden was fast asleep, I unlocked her phone with my fingerprint. The password was still my fingerprint. The same one she had gotten angry about when I changed it before. I wish I had never opened it. The messages between Eden and Naomi were nothing short of a scam. They were discussing assets, the mortgage, sharing my financial information like I was a silent goldmine. Jacob was in on it too. Flirtatious texts, photos sent back and forth, and even talking about how he was ready for when Eden pulls herself out of the mess. Eden had set up an entire scheme, playing the perfect wife for a few months, using my credit and finances to buy the house of her dreams, and then divorce. She would leave with Jacob and keep the house, because according to state law, the one who doesn't have a place to stay during separation would have a harder time keeping ownership. They had planned everything, every detail. I sat there in the middle of the night, looking at the woman I had just married, the woman lying there as if the whole world was in her hands. And I realized I hadn't married a wife. I had married a plot. But I didn't confront her, I didn't yell, I didn't throw the ring, I decided to play their game, and I will win. After that night, I was no longer naive. I saw right through it all. Eden, Naomi, Jacob. The three of them were performing a dark comedy with me as the unwilling audience. But what they didn't know was that I had already left my seat and silently stepped onto the stage. I was no longer just an actor in their plan, I was the director. The next week, I woke up earlier than usual, made coffee for Eden like a new habit I had just picked up. Something she had never done for me. Why are you so happy today? I guess it's because I finally feel like I have a purpose. Eden laughed a little awkwardly. I don't think she realized that my purpose was to expose her. She started to slip up, more and more careless. One evening, Eden left her laptop open when she went to take a shower. I sat down at the kitchen table as usual, and this time, it wasn't Gmail that popped up. It was Google Sheets, a financial transfer plan shared between her and her mom. It clearly outlined Stage 1, stabilizing the marriage, completed. Stage 2, establishing a trust agreement for the loan. In progress. Stage 3, buying the house with my credit and name, pending approval. Stage 4, separation, due to emotional stress. July. I closed the laptop, my heart pounding. But this time, it was excitement. I had a plan of my own. 3 years ago, when I first started my career, I bought a plot of land outside the city. Not big, not small, just enough for a house and a dream. I kept a secret, never mentioning it to Eden. The land was in my name. It was paid off. The foundation was laid. It would be a yellow house, a symbol of everything Eden and Naomi could never touch. I called Beck, my best friend from high school, who now runs a small construction team. I need help. Special project. The more secretive, the better. Do you need to burn anything? Just the honor of a few people. We started building every weekend at night. Beck called it the Angry House, while I referred to it as People's Court. We worked like crazy. The walls went up in 3 nights. The windows were installed the first weekend. The wooden floors were cut from leftover stock. The kitchen cabinets came from a liquidation store. The bathroom fixtures were from a recent teardown. Every brick, every pipe was laid down with my sweat and the pain Eden left behind. Meanwhile, Eden continued playing the part of the perfect wife. She talked about curtains for our future home. She asked if I could work overtime to save up enough for the down payment. You won't believe this. Jacob just sent my mom a list of houses in Lakeside Manor. One has a standing tub and a small garden. Perfect, right? I nodded, smiled. Perfect. I have a surprise for you, too. Then came the fateful Sunday. I told her that after viewing houses with her mom, I wanted to take Eden to a special place. She was excited, thinking I was about to propose again or sign a house contract. Naomi arrived dressed like she was attending a real estate investment conference. Jacob also showed up, smiling politely but eyeing me with disdain. They had no idea what was waiting for them behind that gate. We arrived at my land. The gravel road leading in was eerily silent, as if the earth itself was holding its breath. When we reached the top of the hill, the yellow house appeared in the afternoon sunlight, bold, strange, and unlike anything they had ever seen. Eden slammed the brakes in the middle of the road. Naomi's mouth dropped open. Jacob blurted out, "What the hell?" I stepped out of the car and extended my hand. Welcome to the house I built. With money, with sweat, and with all the lies you thought I didn't know about. Eden's face shifted from shock to a forced attempt at cheerfulness. I didn't know you were doing this. It's pretty unique. But why yellow? I smiled. Because it's the color of light. And now that light has exposed all the darkness you and your mother have been hiding. Naomi blushed. You're accusing us. This is ridiculous. No, I said. This is the truth. I have the recordings, the texts, the spreadsheets you two shared. And now I have this house, the witness to your entire little charade. Eden started sobbing, shifting into the victim role. You're misunderstanding me. My mom's just worried. I just want a better future for both of us. I looked her straight in the eye, the same eyes that once made me fall for her, now only revealing the end of the act. Number, you want a future without me. I turned to Jacob. Do you want to live with her? Fine, but make sure the house is in your name. He gave a forced laugh. Eden turned to him, but no longer with that sweet smile. She knew the game was over. The story didn't end there. I still had other moves to make, my final cards to play. But that day at the Yellow House, they had torn down the fake castle they tried to build. After the confrontation at the Yellow House, I thought everything would wrap up quickly. That Eden would feel ashamed and back off. Naomi would quietly pack up her schemes, and Jacob would disappear like a ghost in this twisted love story. But I had overestimated them. Or maybe I had overestimated their willingness to give up. That night, Eden went back to the old apartment, the place we used to call home. She walked in without saying a word, eyes red but dry. I was folding a few shirts, getting ready to crash at Beck's place for a couple of weeks. Eden stood in the doorway, silent, like a ghost, then spoke. Do you still really want a divorce? I didn't look up. Yes. Can't you forgive me? It's just a plan that didn't go through, David. Nothing's happened yet. I finished folding the last shirt, put it in the suitcase, and said, Eden, you laughed when your mom humiliated me at our wedding. You saw me as just a financial tool. You don't love me. You love what you could take from me. She went quiet. It took a while before she spoke again. So quietly it was almost a whisper. I was wrong. A week later, I moved out. Eden was still in the apartment, saying she needed time to find a new place. I gave her 2 weeks. No more. During that time, I received a barrage of messages from Naomi, mostly legal threats, some even saying they'd expose the real me if I didn't agree to reconcile. Too bad. I'm the one who has all the evidence. Then came the night Eden showed up at Beck's place. 11 p.m., hair a mess, wearing one of my old hoodies. Just one more chance to talk. No mom, no Jacob. I looked at Beck. He nodded, then went into the kitchen, pretending to be busy pouring beer. Eden sat down across from me. Her eyes weren't cold and she wasn't begging. She just looked exhausted. Do you ever think you might be at fault in all this? I raised an eyebrow. For what? Because you were always too good, too patient. When I tried to push you away, you came closer. When my mom attacked you, you took it. I thought, if you had a little bit of darkness in you, maybe I wouldn't have turned to someone else to feel in control. I wasn't sure whether to laugh or pity her. So it's my fault because I didn't hurt you first? She lowered her head. It's not your fault, just part of the reason. When I typed back, go ahead, it was the moment I felt freer than I ever had in my life. But Naomi wasn't ready to accept reality. She came back with one final blow, spreading false information about me on social media, calling me the betrayer who deceived her daughter. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. My evidence was in the lawyer's hands, and the truth doesn't need to scream. As soon as Eden received the divorce papers, Naomi started again. No more indirect messages, no more hiding behind her daughter. This time she called my lawyer directly. We're suing. The apartment belongs to Eden. The Yellow House is proof of David's psychological disorder, and he's caused my daughter severe emotional damage. My lawyer, Bernie, simply replied, we have recordings, we have videos, we have documents from before the marriage, and most importantly, we have legal power. From that day on, Naomi didn't dare call again. A week later, Eden left the apartment. She didn't take much. 2 suitcases of clothes, a Louis Vuitton bag I'd never seen before, and the wedding ring I didn't even need to ask for back. I guess Eden went back to her mom's place, or to Jacob's, or anywhere she could start over with the plan. But this time, it wasn't going to be that easy. That night, my friend Beck texted me, Bro, Eden just posted something on Facebook. She's calling you the traitor and saying you hit her. I laughed, not out of joy, but out of despair and pity. Eden was shooting in all directions, hoping some arrow would hit someone. Then something unexpected happened. It wasn't my friends standing up for me. It wasn't my coworkers tagging me to ask if it was true. It was Haley, the former bridesmaid, who was also Eden's old best friend. She left a public comment, Eden, I used to believe in you. Until I saw you plan to deceive David. We all know what happened at Lakeside. Don't make people post the messages. Then a wave of comments turned against her. Eden had to delete the post after just 20 minutes. As for Naomi, I thought she would be quiet after the legal slap. But no. 3 weeks later, she showed up at a city charity event, sitting at a table near the stage, wearing an old designer dress, her eyes locked onto me as if I were a war criminal. A friend of my mother told me, she's telling everyone that her daughter was deeply hurt because she married a lesser man. I didn't respond. But then, another twist happened. Jacob, Eden's ex, texted me, "Can we meet? I need to talk." I agreed, partly out of curiosity, partly because I needed closure too. We met at a small bar in the suburbs. No noise, no spotlight. Jacob looked worse than the last time I saw him. Scruffy beard, dark circles under his eyes. "I didn't know she was still with you when she contacted me. I didn't think Eden was like that." "Did she play you too?" I asked. He nodded. "After I turned down the real estate plan, she blocked me. Then a few days later, Naomi called me. Said I ruined the plan." We both took a sip. Jacob continued. "I went to see a lawyer. I'll testify if you need me." I shook his hand. Not like a friend, but like two men who just managed to escape the same trap. In the end, the divorce papers were signed. The court ruled that the apartment was mine. The yellow house, too. I didn't have to pay Eden a dime. As for her honor, she couldn't claim that either. And one last sweet ending. Naomi, now a single mother because her daughter was betrayed. Eden moved in with her. No more fancy apartment. No more plans for a new life. Just a curtain that had fallen. Right after the divorce hearing, I moved out of the old apartment, even though the court had ruled it as my property. But I needed a fresh start, a real reset. I wanted everything to change. I rented a small, simple apartment, just enough light to make me feel comfortable. I brought in an old sofa from my college days, and a cactus I used to grow with my mom sits right by the window. And in the corner of the table, there's the new blueprint. No longer a home for two, but a home for a fresh start. In the end, I realized sometimes the biggest loss in life isn't when someone betrays you, but when you realize they never truly cared for you at all. But from that brokenness, I learned how to rebuild. Stronger, clearer, and with more self-respect. A house can be destroyed, a heart can break, but dignity, if you hold on to it, will always be the foundation for new beginnings. And that's my story. If you've ever been through something like this, don't hesitate to leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share this video with anyone who might need a wake-up call. And if you enjoy true, dramatic, but meaningful stories like this one, don't forget to hit subscribe, turn on notifications so you don't miss the next stories. Because who knows, your story might just be the next chapter the whole community is waiting for. Thank you for listening to my story, and I'll see you in the next one.